ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to You Are What You Love, your window into the future of spirituality. We're going to talk to you about your life and the evolution of your soul while we bring alive the essence of eternal truth. So here is your host, the author of You Are What You Love, Vaishali.
And welcome to another exciting episode of You Are What You Love. I'm your hostess, Vaishali, and hopefully we'll be joined by Mary Helen soon. Oh, that was her cue if she was there to chime in, and she didn't, so I'm assuming she's not here yet. Hopefully she'll be joining us. So why don't I just cut to the chase and get to our guest? Our guest is Ted Winslow, and is everything that has to do with sound healing, researching, producer, audio engineer, musician, singer, vocal coach, songwriter. He even does windows. That's just a joke. I'm only kidding. Ted has over 25 years of experience in the music business, holding a BS in music and audio engineering, and that is not BS, from the University of Colorado. In addition to his musical background, Ted runs Big Country Productions. Some of you may recognize his wife has had a show on Contact Talk Radio called Big Country Productions, a division of Big Country Publishing located in Colorado. He works with organizations and clients around the world where he produces commercials, writes music, produces videos, builds custom internet TV stations, records and produces audiobooks. That's just when the guy is in his spare time. He's also involved in extensive sound healing research through electrophotonic image testing, where the effects of sound on the human energy field, which is validated as trademark sound healing technology, SoundSync Tech. His website is tedwinslow.com, spelled exactly as you would imagine it, TEDWINSLOW.com. You can also Twitter him at Ted Winslow. Ted, welcome to You Are What You Love.
Well, Shali, thank you so much for having me on. And I'm not embarrassed to say I actually do windows too.
Oh, outstanding. A completely liberated man ahead of his time. And if you are fascinated by sound frequency, self-geotuning forks, frequency healing, and you would like to ask Ted a question, may I encourage you to call in, because this is a show, this is the guy, this is the time. 877-230-3062. That is the straight number to the studio here, 877-230-3062. So you're welcome to call in with any of your questions that you have about sound and healing and how it works, because this is your opportunity. Or you can join me live in the most beautiful purple chat room at purplev.com. So, Ted, I feel like I'm a little bit behind the eight ball here, because Mary Helen, my co-host, is really the sound frequency part of the program.
Okay.
Hopefully, I think she just plugged in. Mary Helen, are you there?
I'm here.
Thank God, darling, because I had to ask Ted our first question, and I'm sitting here going, "Where the hell is Mary Helen?" I feel like I've just got my period in front of a group of people, and I'm wearing all white because I don't know what to say or go, because it ain't my thing. So, Mary Helen, may I introduce you to Ted? Ted, Mary Helen, Mary Helen, Ted.
Helen, how are you?
Over.
Happy belated New Year to you.
Same to you. Same to you. I'm excited to hear all about it.
Oh, it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a good year. And I want to say thank you, too, for having me on the show. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, gosh, that's all down to V. She's the master coordinator.
Well, you know, Ted, my first question I got is SoundSync Tech, your trademark sound healing technology.
SoundSync, okay.
Yeah, explain it to us. What is it, darling?
What is SoundSync Tech? Well, through my studies that I've been working with a lot of different frequencies, I started to want to incorporate more of the theta beats or theta waves into the sound healing as I'm doing the mastering on some of my tracks. So that's what it is it's the process by which I incorporate in the theta frequencies onto my tracks. Basically, theta state is going to be the border between the conscious and the subconscious world. And it's in this state of consciousness that we can access and influence the powerful subconscious part of ourselves that's normally inaccessible to our waking minds. So I use this in the principle through resonance, which we can actually increase the speed at which the molecules in your body would vibrate. It's basically the same concept as when you have thoughts of love and gratitude. So when the atoms slow down, third dimensional matter is going to be created. When they speed up, the higher dimensions of the consciousness can be reached, and the higher the consciousness is raised, it's the closer that we can become to spirit. There's lots of benefits that are out there. What I put this in for is for optimal range of visualization. Helps using the creative power where our mind begins. It's the mental state in which we consciously create reality. And that we're conscious of our surroundings, and the body can go into a deep, relaxed state. The theta waves are between 4 to 7 hertz in frequency. So, of course, most of the stuff that we listen to through our speakers or our headphones can't really pick that up. Our hearing range is going to be typically 20 hertz and above to about 20,000 hertz. So it's kind of a subliminal way I'm able to incorporate this so that we can get the body into its most relaxed state. And that's it in a nutshell.
Whoa,
That's a nutshell. Woo.
That was so nicely done, Ted.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, I'm very excited to hear all about about how you utilize the solfeggio frequencies, because I would use I would use the frequencies, the actual forks, in a lot of the work I do. And, I think the most rewarding part about using the frequencies is if I expose to them every time I'm exposing somebody else. And I find that, in the course of a day, when you've done, 5, 6, 7 healing sessions, and each one of them I end, running all the frequencies, people will always ask, doesn't that just drain your energy and all? I find that ever since I've found the solfeggios, that it has changed the healing experience for me altogether. To know that I leave energized, I feel deeply grounded and deeply connected after doing my thing with the individual, and then exposing them and myself to those frequencies.
Oh yeah, they're so powerful, and they've been frequencies around for a lot longer than we realize, and then they were kind of forgotten, and I think that there's just been a resurgence that's been coming through it. My background was that I was playing in a rock band and was a studio musician as a bass player, and then minoring in voice through college in engineering. And so everything that I did, every time we'd go in, we would tune all of our instruments up to 440, and I can go in a little bit later explaining the difference between 440 as our standard concert pitch tuning as opposed to these frequencies that most commonly you'll know is the 528.
Right.
And it's changed my whole direction of music and composition. It's opened up worlds that I wouldn't have normally ever been able to kind of peer into. My compositions have gone to a whole different format, and it's just amazing the energy that I've been able to create with this, and be able to see how it's. And then for the listeners that are listening, I use a lot of these solfeggio frequencies to bring ourselves down as a way to help kind of calm the mind, not bring us down in a negative way, but get rid of all of that anxiety that we get induced into our bodies throughout the day. And so those solfeggio frequencies, there's so many different ones of them, and so much history that I'll go more into this a little bit later on where I think it kind of comes from and who and all of that good stuff. I mean, you could tell me wonders that's happened with clients, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. It's, I guess I've been actively using them probably for a good 7 years. But I just find the whole process is just so amazing. And actually, one of my favorite book titles in the world is The Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that, number one, that title absolutely cracks me up. But I think, it's all about the history of the solfeggio frequencies, going back to the days, for people, just to give a little scant story of the fact that, people were reaching these states of bliss and euphoria outside of the church. And they were using the solfeggio frequencies in transcendental meditation. They were connecting with their hearts, literally. They were tapping into that pineal gland and kind of setting themselves free. And the church just simply did not like this because it cut out the middleman. People were suddenly becoming empowered and being able to contact God themselves. How dare they? And so rather than being able to steal or change the actual musical scale, they altered the frequencies and more or less took the magic out of the music. So what we would know today as, do, re, mi being mi gestorum, or miracle frequency. We would know mi as 517 hertz. But 517 hertz used to be 528 hertz in the original musical scale. And they dropped it to 517. Now, if they dropped it to 516, the actual tone of the note would have changed. But to the untrained ear, at 517, it still sounded like me, but they had literally taken the vibration that would match the human energy field out of the frequency. So the sense that music could actually set you free or create that state of euphoria or connection was now gone. So I just think that it's such it's a fascinating history, and it just makes so much sense. To think that there was an easy way for people to access the frequencies, and how we can utilize these frequencies to liberate themselves, and like V is an Emanuel Swedenborg whore, and I am a solfeggio frequency whore. So I'm just very excited to be talking about this subject because, it is such a huge, I've seen on a daily basis the way that these frequencies can change people's lives.
Well, what's more important? Yeah, exactly. I agree with that 100%. And I'm just going to kind of add on to that, it's all mathematical formulas, which are basically universal frequencies that are derived from, consists of sacred geometry as well as sacred numerology. These frequencies all have a profound effect on our health and our wellness and for going into there. And when we talk about that, again, these frequencies, just for the listeners, I know that you already know this, but this, again, is going out of the 440, so that if I'm tuning my instruments, I'm going to go ahead and tune to that 528. Most people know that, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that, either 528 or 432 is another one that I really like, which is considered the whole universal solfeggio frequency. And so you're taking these instruments out of the 440 tuning. And 440 tuning is going to trace back to the Romantic period, which is basically 1834, and origin started in the Stuttergate Conference. So that came after these solfeggio frequencies that you just explained, where the churches started getting rid of it. I think that's where you're starting to see some of this. These churches get rid of those sacred frequencies, and they want to start using this, what's called A4 equaling 440 is the standard pitch, and calibrating for the ends. And oddly enough, you can trace it back, and the book, I believe, talks about this, that Joseph Goebbels was a German politician and a Third Reich minister of propaganda during the time of 1933 to 1945. And so he's rumored to have implemented this 440 pitch, stating that it was of extraordinary importance. Then the British Standard Institute officially adopted A444 in 1939 and promoted this, which was promoted as well by the Rockefeller Foundation and the Nazi government. And it's just dissonant. And as I'm reading this and studying this, here's some of the greatest musical ears in the world, and they're turning it to this dissonant 440 pitch. And it's like in all of our commercials, all of our commercial music. I used it with the rock bands because, all of a sudden you go out with your band and you're playing sometimes at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, and of course it's dissonant, it's keeping everybody up and they're feeling amped. I'd come back, I could not calm down. I mean, it would take me well into the next day to start to relax a little bit. In doing further research, our bodies are made up of something to like 75% water, and then our muscles are like another 70. And you can correct me if some of this sounds wrong, but water is one of the best ways of holding the vibration. And so if we're listening to that dissonant pitch of 440, it's entraining our body. And the great thing is that coming back after a hard day, negative energy, the boss is yelling at you, the kids are screaming in the background, his homework's trying to go on, the TV's blaring whatever news thing is coming on for the day. You turn it all off and put on a good these frequencies and let your body just relax and come back and entrain it back to its natural state.
Exactly. It's taking it from that frenzied pitch, because the exposure that we have all day long to, just people don't realize from Wi-Fi to cell towers and to, oh my God, the nastiness that's in the food and the water and all of that, every bit of that carries a frequency. And so we're just exposed constantly, and to take that time, that's why I'm just so grateful to have found this and to be able to use it, because, inadvertently I'm being exposed to those frequencies every day when I'm treating somebody else. And it gives me that time to kind of just come right back down with them. And it's just a wonderful experience, but it's so important.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like, I've got a crystal bowl, kind of like your tuning forks, and it's just a great way to get rid of that negative energy, and it's just like a whitewash for me. It just kind of cleans everything, and I can get back down to thinking, clears my brain, clears my head. Our bodies are encoded, and it brings us back to where we're supposed to be.
Oh, absolutely. And I have found in the last couple of years, I've been introducing the frequency of ozone, which has been just monumental. It's unusual in that I will run it across people. You know how you just know when somebody has incarnated from way back when, and you expose them to this frequency, and immediately they begin to smile. The very second that I run ozone through someone's field who has been Atlantean or beyond, they just begin to smile, and they always pass comment. And then there are people I can run that ozone frequency over, and I'm like, nothing's happening, and I'm going, do you feel anything? And they don't feel anything. And this thing's it's 174 hertz. It's a big, low, deep vibration, and it's hard to miss. And there are people who actually just simply can't feel that vibration at all. It's like it's so foreign to them. But anyone who is exposed, in 10,000 years and beyond to an ozonated or very heavy atmosphere, and recognizes this frequency immediately, and they just start to beam. It's amazing.
I have never heard of the frequency of ozone, so you're educating me on this. This is fascinating.
Oh, check it out. I tell you what, it is. V, I did that on you and Elliot there. That was the first frequency that we did just 2 weeks ago. That was ozone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that big kind of that deep vibration, and people, it's not like they kind of get it or they go, yeah, I kind of feel that. They either feel it or they don't.
Right. I just assumed everybody felt everything that you did.
No, not at all. Not at all. It took me a while to kind of cop on to what was going on, because I would touch somebody and I started noticing people would, smiling, like if I put the frequency directly on them. And then I noticed other people just not flinching. And I'm like, can you not feel that? And when I would go back in and start trying to read into their past and all that, there would be, they would be fairly new or in their incarnations here. And like in Elliot's case, when you've just skipped past all of that, it's just such a true resonance, and one that's so old, so ancient, that somebody who's been around forever would also pick that up. And they always just go, wow, it's like feeling home again.
It's a nice warm subsonic frequency. Yeah, I love those.
That's a beautiful frequency.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. And another thing that we're being bombarded. Have you guys talked about HARP on your show at all before? The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program?
HARP is the bane of my 86-year-old mother's existence. Would you believe that? We talk about this, like, who else talks about this kind of stuff with their mother, their 86-year-old mother, by the way. My mom has gotten to the point now where she'll call me nearly every day, or send me a message, an email, and she's like, do you hear it right now? She's so good now at detecting it. It's actually making her go mad. I mean, she is. It's driving her insane. But at least now she knows what it is. It's gotten to the point here where I have a friend, Anne, who will undoubtedly, every time I've had a really, really bad night, and it's from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock in the morning Irish time, and I'm 5 hours ahead of the East Coast, and that's when it seems to be worse here. And she will call me without fail every single following morning when it's been really, really bad.
Wow.
It's gotten to the point where my left eardrum, I think, has ruptured from it because I'm so sensitive to picking it up. But oh my gosh, it's my 11-year-old is extremely sensitive to it, and she'll get really upset because it'll keep her awake. And it's not tinnitus. It's just not the same thing. And it's heavy duty.
That's one of the things that also got me studying more about these frequencies, is how to get out of that. Because I've got limited hearing that's coming out of my left ear, and I get things of tinnitus, and it's just for those who don't know what HARP is, it was built in basically 2008, and it's incurred at $250 million in tax-funded construction and operating costs. And what this is this will be an installation or a facility that's going to shoot at 3.6 million watts into the sky. And so a big, an AM radio station, a big AM radio station, is going to broadcast on about 50,000 watts. So again, that's just this huge thing of energy that is shooting out. And it's basically a 2.8 to 10 megahertz signal. Again, our human ears can only hear up to about 20 hertz, so it's just blasting our body. It's blasting the atmosphere. It's changing weather patterns. So it's
as I call you here from Ireland, and I look out my window, and half my town is underwater.
Not good.
We have flooded completely. The weather pattern has changed so dramatically here. We've had 5 major, what you would call tropical storms or lower category hurricanes. We've had 5 in a row since the beginning of December. So the town that I live in is almost completely underwater at this stage. People are our town has been declared a state of emergency. And, yes, it rains a lot in Ireland, but this is ridiculous. And there've just been, the chemtrails, leading up to this were massive, but the frequency change, I knew something big was coming because, it's like being a dog and somebody's blowing a dog whistle and nobody else seems to be able to hear it. And I, like you, have very limited hearing in my left ear. I lost it in the car accident. But it seems to be the ear that's most grossly affected. So I hear everything that seems to be kind of out of the normal human range through that left ear, and it actually makes me berserk. So, it's very real. And, my poor old mom is just sitting there. She's been on this planet 86 years, so she's familiar with sounds and what tinnitus is like. She's had tinnitus, and she knows what that is, and she knows definitively that this is not the same thing. And she'll, listening to her describe what the frequencies sound like and making the little noises and all this. But I've gone as far as to hear, what almost sounds like a out of tune, radio pitch where you can actually hear people talking. You tell anybody and they think you've lost your mind, which, I've long been in that category. But, this Ireland seems to be a real hot spot for that. And I have one child that's not affected by that. That's where her sensitivity lies. But my 11-year-old child is completely affected by it and is very well versed. She'd sit down and have a conversation about HARP with you because she experiences it all the time.
Yeah, your family is completely in tune to all the different frequencies that are out there. Examples of this that people can read online to see it, because I know it's like when I explain it to people, they'll say, "Oh, you're just the sound healing guy." Of course, you're going to say something like that, but
right.
March 2011, Fukushima, Japan, before the M9 earthquake hit there, the atmosphere had heated up, and spacecraft was observing this from space. They're reading tons of electron content and the ionosphere around the time that this earthquake had happened. You don't see that very many places. The Haitian earthquake, MIT Technology Review stated that a French satellite that was called Demeter, whose job it is to measure the frequencies, saw these ULF, or ultra-frequency radio frequencies, just before the 7.0 earthquake it hit in Haiti. And then most people have heard about the Norway spiral. That was 2009.
So, oh, yeah, that was incredible.
I think that there's a California here in the States has been a breadbasket for our food supply, and there's a ridiculous, it's called the Triple R's, Ridiculous Resilient Ridge. Sully, you can tell me if this is right, but there's still a drought that's going there. There's a persistent region of atmospheric high pressure that's been over the northeastern Pacific Ocean starting in about 2013, still going, and there's a drought, and it's been wiping out tons of farms, tons of our food supplies.
California's always had a water problem, and it's a drought state. And it seems like it goes almost 10 years in a drought state, and then it'll go a year and a half where it gets some rain, where it gets a deluge, and then it goes back into those at least a 7-year stretch rain, and there's just more and more people going there and greater demand on what has never been enough to sustain that environment because it's the desert.
Yeah. Yeah. It brought another, like a cold front that was up towards the Minnesota area, I thought.
Oh, yeah, that's happening right now, is it? Right, mid-United States is kind of getting it. You know, Ted, we've got a caller, Kara, and I know Kara. She's from Florida. Why don't we go ahead and bring her on? And she's been having some problems sleeping. She's been getting jolted with a frequency in the morning, and I think she's having an epiphany on the show. Kara, welcome to You Are What You Love. I bet you got a lot to talk to Mary Helen and Ted about.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I was listening to your story, Mary Helen, about your mom and your daughters being affected by HAARP and everything and the different frequencies, and you brought up Wi-Fi and EMFs and smart meters and everything, and I'm having quite the experience in this new house that I moved into. I'm in a direct path of my neighbor's smart meters. So I'm being literally jolted awake, and my cats, every single morning at the same exact time, and it's taking my body about 3 hours to recover from it. It's very, very intense. And I have the ringing in the ears, too, and the buzzing and sore throat, and then that all dissipates after about 3 hours, but the ringing's really intense. Was wondering, Mary Helen or Ted, if you guys have experimented or have had any success of using the tuning forks or other sound healing methodologies to neutralize or counteract like high EMF frequencies, either from Wi-Fi, cell phones, or like smart meters or what have you.
Hey, Kara, first of all, thanks for calling in. Mary Helen, you want me to take this first, or you want to go first?
Yeah, fire away, man.
You know, the thing that, and this is part of the thing that led me with working with these frequencies, and when I put the music together, I always recommend that it's best for people to listen to it through headphones, because I'll create a spatial sense that's kind of going in there from right and left, front to center, and back and forth, so that it's really starting to get back to training on the body. And 3 hours is a long time to try to come back from that, so I can understand that's just blasting your body. I'll tell you what, this is what I want to do, and I want to do for your guys as listeners as well. Since it's the new year, I'd like to give away a free copy of my angelic sound healing, and the listeners can get that off of my website. If you just go to tedwinslow.com and go to the website, you'll select angelic sound healing, type in the coupon code radio, and it will give you an MP3 digital download that you can download onto your computer. Either you want it onto Windows, or I personally use iTunes, which I'm more familiar with.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So
I'm on your website now, Ted. Where is it?
If you go on my website, there should be a place where there's albums on there, and you'll find the album Angelic Sound Healing. It's got angels.
Is that in the store?
It's in the store. It should be in the store. And if you can click on it as if you're going to purchase it for checkout. And when you check out, you put in a coupon code of radio, and it's going to zero out the balance so the listeners can get that. I like to do that because I feel that I am so blessed with what I'm able to create and that I get to do this, that I believe that there's a purpose for all of this. Just as you, Kara, that you're calling in and getting blasted by this, put on headphones and take some time to listen to them. Now, the one thing I've been finding, and on my website, I've got some studies that I've done that will talk about entrainment so that you can see, for one example, used a 70-year-old woman who had just come back from Vegas. And I thought, oh, my gosh. And as soon as I arranged, so as soon as she got off the plane, I did a biophotonic imaging of her so that I could see where her chakras were, where her energies were, coming back just from the lights, the stimulation, and all of that. And then I had her listen to about 3 songs off of my CD, off of my album, and it changed her. And then when she went to bed, I had her listen to it before she went to sleep, and it put her out to sleep. And then I had her listen to it in the morning. Now, to wrap this up, is that you don't have to listen to the whole album. You can listen to a couple songs. At first, you might have to listen to more to get these frequencies so you entrain your body to get rid of the negative energy and bring you back into where you're supposed to be with all these universal frequencies. And then your body's going to get to recognizing that so that you can listen to 1 or 2. Like when my wife goes into a big meditation, she just goes to meditate. She can listen to one song and she can instantly get into the theta state because her body recognizes like it's thirsty for these frequencies, and now it's like, oh, okay, here it is. Now I can go. It's trained on it. So
that's fantastic. I will definitely try the MP3 and read more on your site and everything. That sounds fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, you bet. Please do.
I've already ordered it.
It's that quick.
And I got to tell you, yeah, and when you put in the code, put in radio, all caps, okay. And the album cover is awesome, sweetheart. Really beautiful.
Thank you. I love that. We've got a good graphic design team. I'm so blessed. I tell you, I'm really blessed. So thank you very much.
So again, go to Ted Winslow. Click on store. When you go to store, you'll see the album covers or the CD covers. Go ahead and click on Angelic Healing. It's got the double wings, and it's purple, so your eye will go right to it, and it'll check you out real easy. But probably before I finish this sentence, you will already be checked out. So that is a great gift, Ted. Thank you so much. I know Kara's been feeling like she's been going crazy trying to figure out what's creating all this.
Yeah, that's got, and I haven't had the chance to go study about the smart meters, and I've had a lot of people come up to me and start talking to me about it. I just got to take the time to break away from this because I've heard a lot of bad things, just as she just described on that. Yeah,
it's a pretty intense, very jarring frequency. Very, very intense frequency.
Kara,
very
tell them about Take Your Power Back.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them about that.
Tell them about what?
Take Your Power Back.
Oh yeah, there's a great documentary called Take Your Power Back, and the website is actually takeyourpowerback.net, and it's a documentary that shows you the history of smart meters and how people are being impacted by them, and also what people are doing, like the grassroots movements to get rid of smart meters. And how people have been suffering from them, and like the health impacts, and also that the way that they've forced these smart meters onto people's houses without them knowing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so people are having like all these symptoms, and they don't understand that they're not sleeping, that they have the ringing in the ears, that they have all these other health issues that are caused from the smart meters because the frequencies are so out of our range.
Isn't that sad? And by the way, thank you for telling me that. I'm going to definitely go back and look that up. I thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and they have it on the site. You can stream it too, so it's really easy to watch. It's a really interesting documentary.
You would love how the Irish are just so funny because it's been, absolute war over here in the country of water. because they did a national sweep where suddenly they were starting at the beginning of last year to implement water charges for the first time. But, we pay an extremely high tax rate here. And so hidden within that tax rate and within our city rates, if you're a business owner, are our water charges. So basically they were trying to implement a new water tax, which would be doubly charging for that. So they got this great idea, and they bought secondhand from Denmark, where they had removed all of their smart meters because of the radioactive frequencies and the medical reports that had come through about the danger of them. So Ireland, of course, bought them and started forcibly installing them. Well, people took to the streets and went crazy. I mean, it has been the funniest thing. I mean, it's still nobody's paying their water bill. Nobody. Everybody just
they took to the streets, Mary Helen. Really?
Oh yeah, people have gone to
awesome
jail.
That they were. That's
great. They just started ripping them out of the ground. Because our water meters would be out front, out at the street. And, oh, yeah, people were doing, like, full-on chaining themselves to the tree protest and not allowing the meters to be put in. And
good for them. It needs to be done because people aren't aware that it is emitting radiation and that it is a carcinogenic and that it is proven. They know this. They've known this for a very long time, that it causes cancer and tumors. So good for them for taking a stand.
Yeah, it's been a really big, and it's a very fresh topic over here because it just happened last year.
Very recently, yes.
Is there anything that you could suggest that you could do to protect yourself from the HAARP sound?
The organ, the pendant, the pendant
yes.
The orgon is meant, those are specifically programmed to deal with those frequencies.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, so the house piece that you got, which protects the entire perimeter, probably your entire block, that would go so far. So that's, the orgon pieces with the different crystals that are attuned, through sacred geometry, and I have a shaman friend who specifically does this. Like I wear a piece around my neck every day without fail. I mean, I don't go into contact with people without that on me because I carry a cell phone and I use an iPad, and those frequencies, the difference since I've been wearing this is remarkable, so noticeable. Yeah, so it definitely works. So you can Google it or look up anybody who's close to you, and if you're having anybody listening trouble finding somebody, I have a friend here who personally makes the pieces and tunes them to you, and they're extremely reasonable.
What is it called, Mary Helen? It's called what?
Oregon. It sounds like the state, Oregon.
Oregon, okay.
And Ted, what do you do to protect yourself from HAARP? You play your CDs?
I keep playing around with the music and the CDs, and then I'll run biophotonic testing on myself, and got a couple clients that will come in so we can check where their chakras are and all that, and then test it with the music. I've heard a lot of wonderful things about the Oregon. I keep meaning to pick up some of that to see what it's about, but I've been playing a lot with
I'll have one made for you, Ted, and send it to you.
You're a sweetheart. Thank you. But yeah, those are the coolest looking things with the sacred geometry and the copper and all the crystals that they have inside of them.
Oh yeah, I took a big whopping piece over for Wishali and Elliot just to, that would do kind of a 500-meter perimeter. And they stopped me in the airport. The guy was laughing. He goes, "Just come here and look. I want you to look at this on the X-ray screen." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, dude. It looks like a bomb. It really does." He was like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Well, are you into metaphysics at all?" And he was like, "Oh, go on, get out of here," And so I got it through in the end.
I've set up a crystal grid in my studio, so I mean that's just about the extent that I've gone to it. But it's I know that they're very powerful. So, but just for right now, I've just kind of been playing with my music.
Very cool.
It's a complicated world these days. I'd just like to take a moment and remind our listening audience that the show is You Are What You Love. Today, our guest is Ted Winslow, and we're talking about all things that have to do with healing and healing frequencies. And you can visit Ted's website. It's tedwinslow.com, spelled exactly as you would imagine, TEDWINSLOW.com. can Twitter him at Ted Winslow. And please go to his website. He's been very generously offering to give you a free copy of Angelic Healing. Go to his website, tedwinslow.com, click on store. When you see the album covers or the CD covers, click on Angelic Healing. It's got the double wings on it, the angel wings. And in the code to apply, just put in radio, the word radio, all caps, and hit apply. And you will get a free CD. And this particular CD, the Angelic Healing, is that something people would also use to help minimize the effects of the heart frequency?
Yeah, I think any of these healing frequencies on these CDs that I have, I've got about 10 that are out there. I've done some for vocalists, since I had for training vocalists for broadcasting or performance and stuff, that they can use for warm-ups before they do a performance or in practice, or if they're doing audiobooks or readings. If I have a client come in here, I'll send it out to them, and that way, one of them is in 432, and then the other ones are in 528, so that it's getting in trained to get the full potential. I use it when I go into the studio too. The angelic sound healing frequencies that I used on this, they're simple. They're all the angelic frequencies that we know of. That's going to be 111, which is for St. Michael, 888, Zadkiel, 444, which is Uriel. And so I meditated on these and had the angels come in and sometimes kind of blow up my equipment to get me to go in the direction that they wanted it to come out with. So, yeah, you could use that. Planetary Frequencies is my latest album, Solfeggio Sound Healing from Planetary Frequencies. Going back onto the sound healing thing, I did kind of a continuum to the angelic sound healing called Vocal Toning with the Angels, so that people want to use their voice but aren't really going to be going to the singing thing. There's simple toning things that you can use through that and tone with the music, so that you can use, our bodies are our biggest resonator. We can heal ourselves by our own tones that we have, just as we were talking with some of those solfeggio frequencies as well that are, youth, re, mi. So, and that's just the path that I've been finding, is just, it keeps coming in. And I think the reason why there's so many that I keep coming in is kind of like a weird analogy of using a smoothie. You can have a carrot smoothie, which is going to be good for you. Or you can have a smoothie that's going to have carrots, pineapple, turmeric, ginger, and it's going to have all the benefits that your body's going to need with it. So I'll find that all of a sudden I'm grabbing one album for something or another one, and your body's just going to go and start pulling songs that it's going to want to hear on this. So
nice, sweetheart. We've got Rose in the chat room said that she went to your website and she tried to order it, and it looks like it put her through PayPal, and she didn't have any other choice. And I did that at first, and then realized that when on the page before on his website, when you're putting in your name information, it does say that there is a place for a code, and you put the word radio all in capitals, and then you have to hit the apply button next to radio. You can't just put in radio and hit send. You have to hit apply, and that takes all the price out. That takes all the costs out. I'm trying to ask her, sweetheart, if she put in her credit card information, and I haven't heard back from her, but she wanted me to let you know. And so I just before somebody else does that, I did that too. If it takes you to the PayPal page where you have to put in money, you didn't do it right. Go back to the page before. Put in the word radio in the lower left-hand corner where you see the coupon box, and then hit apply, and voila. Oh,
and then where is it in your iTunes?
Yeah, they should just drop right into your iTunes. You can download them, probably save them on your desktop. And
I just downloaded it on my phone just now, and so it went through and it did it. But I don't know where it went. So is it in my iTunes, I suppose?
Let me know, because I'll be honest with you. This is kind of new technology that we've kind of tried to put out there. I haven't heard of anybody downloading them to their iPhone or their iPad. I didn't even really think of that. I just did. That's fantastic. See, the angels want you to have this music.
They want me to have it.
They want you to have
it. I now have it.
Wishali.
Yes, darling.
I did a little bit of playing around before it was coming on, because I know your favorite color is purple.
Yeah.
And so the frequency of the color purple this is just nonsense, as my wife would say, nonsense trivia that I'll never use. But I give that stuff out. The frequency of purple, the color purple, is going to be 565. And it's going to be, the notes that are going to be associated with that are going to be A sharp and E, which is going to be a Lydian scale. So it's going to sound, let's see if I can even play this, if you can hear it. There you go.
That's what purple sounds like.
That's a little bit of what the frequencies that are going to be associated with purple in the Lydian mode for you.
Awesome, Ted.
It's an E. It's an E.
E Lydian, yeah.
My gorgeous love man, his name is Elliot, but everybody calls him E.
It just started shooting out at me when I was meditating before coming on. It's like, go look up the color purple. And I'm like, Lynn, well, now this is weird. E with A sharp, that's not like a major scale would be E with A being the fourth, a raised fourth. I'm like, oh, that's a Lydian scale. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to see if I can play that so people can hear what that is. And it's kind of got a different tone to it that we're not used to in Western music.
You know, I don't know if you're familiar with Swedenborg.
No.
Ted. Emanuel Swedenborg, I call him my other boyfriend. He lived from 1688 to 1772, so it's been a while. But he was Stanford University, like 10 years ago, wanted to come up with a list of the top 10 most brilliant people to have ever lived on the planet. Because, you know, they're just measuring weenies over there. They like to measure everything and rate everything. So they came up with a list of the top 10 most brilliant people to have ever lived on the planet, ever, you know, in the history of humankind. And Swedenborg, along with two other people, tied for first place. And he mastered every known science in his life. He figured out what the cell is for, the pituitary gland, the endocrine system. He was a metallurgist. He was a member of Sweden's parliament. He wrote over 150 scientific works on the color of fire, soil, unit of measure, money, blast furnace. I mean, he mastered every known science in his life. When he heard about Galileo, he ground his own glass and he made his own telescope. When he heard about microbes, he ground his own glass and he made his own microscope. I mean, he is definitely in the annals of the overachievers. He's definitely at the top of the list. But he's a great mystic, too. He had a lot of, when he was 56 years old, he said he'd spend his whole adult life as a scientist trying to find out where the soul resides in the human experience. I don't know how many scientists are out there looking for the soul, but
not enough.
Yes, clearly. Swedenborg was, and that was what drove him. And he had an experience when he was 56 years old where he broke through into the spiritual realm, and it was given permission for him to travel into the spiritual world, see into the spiritual world, and talk to spiritual beings. And he basically got a very interesting tour of the cosmos via the angelic community. And he talks about how everything in the physical world is here and exists because it corresponds to something in the spiritual world, because the spiritual world is the only world that's real. This world doesn't exist by itself. It only exists as an adjunct to the spiritual world because the spiritual world is real. So if there's something in the physical world that exists here, it exists in the spiritual world. Or it couldn't show up here. There'd be nothing to hold it into reality, into actuality here. So everything in the physical world corresponds to something in the spiritual world. But the spiritual world has more things than the physical world. So everything in the physical world corresponds to spiritual, but not everything in the spiritual corresponds to the physical because it's bigger than that. So that means that everything that shows up here has a spiritual origin or counterpart. And when Swedenborg talks about sound and frequency, he says that corresponds to feelings, wisdom, emotions. And it sounds like everything that you and Mary Helen have been talking about is very similar to Swedenborg's kind of theological explanation of this classroom, and that he says that on the planet Earth, there are things from heaven and things from hell that are here. And we're just going to define heaven as a place or a state of being that is unlimited, and hell as a place or a state of being that is limited. And that's how we're defining it. And so that means that nobody has to die to experience heaven and hell. Experience it all here. And when you and Mary Helen were talking about these frequencies at the beginning and how people were getting into the unlimited frequencies, and the church said, wait a minute, we got to give them the limited version of that. Because that's our job, is to be unlimited. Everybody else has to be limited.
Right.
I thought it was very interesting that even in sound, I didn't really realize, I figured that there were some frequencies and sounds we use for healing and some we use for destroying. And the same way that, we have angelic animals and we have not so angelic animals. There's a heaven and hell everywhere, whether it's in animals or minerals or bacteria or sound. That there's a heavenly version and a hellish version. And I didn't have any understanding of it until you and Mary Helen started talking about it. So I deeply appreciate it. That was another way to see the truth that Swedenborg talks about in an area I had no idea how it would. So that was really groovy.
Well, thank you for bringing that up so I can go start to educate myself on that. That's amazing. Can you imagine?
I'll tell you what, Ted, since you're a good giveaway, if you email me your mailing address, I will send you a copy of all my books and my books on CD so you can hear the Swedenborg frequency right from the purple one.
Oh, my God.
And we will share the wealth, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And email me too, docmhh@gmail.com, and I'll send you mine.
DOC.
We'll shower you with wonderfulness.
Yes, it's DOC for Doc, because she's a chiropractor. She's a doctor. And Mary Helen Hensley, Doc, DOCMHH @gmail.com.
Got it.
And we will share the wealth. Swedenborg talks about how in heaven is divided up into three kingdoms. Well, actually two kingdoms, a heavenly and a spiritual, but there are three levels. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Before I get off on this tangent, the producer just reminded me we've got some of your music. Yes, you sent some cuts. Give us an introduction to it, and let's play one, sweetheart, in the time we've got left. Yes, let's please do that.
Okay. I don't know which one you guys want to listen to. If it'd be Overcoming Obstacles, which is on the giveaway with the angelic sound healing, which is going to be Archangel Metatron. Or, you know what, Cameron, if you could play Golden Consciousness, let's do Golden Consciousness, because this is kind of the thing that's coming along that I was bringing in today before I was coming on. Golden Consciousness is a track off my latest album called Solfeggio Sound Healing Planetary Frequencies. And it's the sun frequency 126, so it's not far off of what we were talking about, the ozone frequency at 174. But this track I wrote it's the awakening of ourselves and bringing all that golden healing light from above so that we can all start to see our paths, and that those who we may be sharing or walking with share that with them the same path, and have a better understanding and a sense of well-being of ourselves and our spiritual development. Thinking that the sun is a central life source and can be considered a symbol to our eternal self. Most of us are entering this golden age of awakening in consciousness, and starts right there. We're talking about this Emanuel Swedenborg.
Well, he's got a lot to say about the sun. It represents divine love and wisdom. You really tapped into a big one there with the sun. But how long is the cut, sweetheart?
You could just play a couple minutes of it or something.
I was going to say, if it's long enough, what we can do is we can just go ahead and sign out now and just end the show with your entire cut.
That'd be beautiful.
Yay!
And if I could just say, I want to say Thank you to you, Mary Helen, Washali. Thank you to all you guys there on You Are What You Love. And Cameron, thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm so grateful for you all.
We are thrilled to have you, and clearly we're going to have you back, Ted. And I want to thank you for your giveaway and thank all the people ahead of time who are going to download that and get value from it. We're going to end the show with Ted's cut, but again, I want to remind you we've been talking to Ted Winslow, and he's a sound engineer and a music engineer and a sound healer, and his website is tedwinslow.com, and you can Twitter him at Ted Winslow. And again, he's giving a free CD giveaway. Go to the store, Ted Winslow, click on store, then click on Angelic Healing. And when the address page comes up, put in radio for your code, click on apply, and voila, you are in like Flynn. And again, thank you, Ted. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to end with Golden Conscious because I couldn't come up with a better name than that. Go ahead, take us away, Cameron.